This is Super Yacht News with E. Sisman.
Hi, welcome back to the channel. Okay, so Motor Yacht Garçon and Motor Yacht Halo are now both arrived in Göcek in Turkey after that massive trip from Antigua, 5,000 nautical miles approximately. Now, if you remember a few days ago, Garçon went ahead of Halo, who stopped in Algeria to refuel, and Garçon didn't need to refuel. And the vessel went towards a place called Fethiye and then switched off AIS to make it look like the vessel was stopping there, and then changed course and went to Göcek anyway. We had some photographs sent in to us that showed that it was in Göcek, and we could confirm that by the vessel Motor Yacht Anna that was behind the vessel in the photo. And that was broadcasting AIS when we received the photo, so we knew that was confirmed to us that the vessel was there. Well, now Motor Yacht Halo has arrived also. However, they didn't bother with the charade of trying to switch off AIS and point in another direction. They just went straight to Göcek, and they're still broadcasting the AIS. So they gave up on that one. So the reason why we track these vessels, as I mentioned in the last video, is because they have been confirmed by the UK government through an investigation in the British Virgin Islands as owned by Roman Abramovich. Roman Abramovich is currently sanctioned by the UK, the EU, Canada, Australia, and Switzerland. Interestingly, the US is missing from that list. Anyway, that's the reason why we've tracked those vessels, and they are now in Göcek with Motor Yacht Eclipse. All right, so we'll move on to the next story now. And this is a yacht fire in Japan, and it's in a place called Kanagawa on the Miura Peninsula of Kanagawa. That was translated from Japanese. So this was apparently an azimuth yacht, and according to the fire department in that area, at 15:40 hours on the 7th of August, there was a report of a vessel on fire off the coast of the Miura Peninsula. Around 16:30 hours, a TBS helicopter filmed footage of the fire, as you can see here on the screen next to me here. So according to the regional Coast Guard headquarters, they identified the vessel as a pleasure vessel, a yacht, and the ship of the Coast Guard arrived at the scene to extinguish the blaze. Apparently they actually extinguished it and the vessel didn't sink in this instance. But I have a feeling, as you can see from the photographs here, it looks like it's drifted onto the rocks, and that might be the reason why it didn't sink. So there were 8 souls on board in total, including the captain, and they all had to don life jackets and actually jump overboard to escape the blaze. Now, later on, they were rescued by another passing vessel, and they were all pulled out of the water. Like I said at the beginning, the vessel was believed to be an Azimuth 70 yacht, like the one pictured here. And the Azimuth 70 has a fiberglass hull and superstructure. So once they start to burn, they give off a lot of toxic smoke, and they obviously go up very fast. The remains of that yacht were later recovered, as you can see here. Now, one of the questions that always comes up when I talk about these yacht fires is why don't yachts have proper fire suppression systems on board like bigger ships? Well, if you'll notice that most of the fires we talked about here are on yachts that are 30 meters and below, and unfortunately, on those size of vessels, the rules of what kind of fire suppression and firefighting equipment they need is very limited. It's very small. On the bigger yachts, on what we generally class as super yachts, 60 meters and above or whatever, they are very well equipped with suppression systems, high fog systems, and all kinds of systems that are automated and have a lot of redundancy. Unfortunately, the smaller boats don't have those systems, and sometimes are limited to a few handheld fire extinguishers and buckets and blankets and things like that. So that's why more of them tend to catch fire and burn than the bigger ones. All right, so we'll move on to the next story. And this is about an aircraft, but it is related to super yachts, as you'll find out shortly. So a federal judge in New York has signed a warrant to seize an aircraft owned by sanctioned Russian Andrei Scotch. This is after a federal agent submitted an affidavit explaining that Scotch is the owner of an Airbus A319-100 through a series of shell companies and trusts tied to his romantic partner. That the authorities said the jet is worth around $90 million. So the aircraft is believed to be in Kazakhstan right now, and I would imagine that Mr. Scotch believes the aircraft to be safe in that country. And there's no word if Kazakhstan is going to hand over the vessel to the US. Now, the reason why I brought this up is because Andrei Scotch is also a super yacht owner. Like a lot of these Russian billionaires, he owns a 99-meter Fed ship called Madame Goo. I've done a few videos on Madame Goo in the past, in the good days. I've got a video of it docking in Monaco, which has been very well received. So it's, like I said, it's a 99-meter or 324-foot Fed ship. And it is also on the seizure to-do list of the US government. And that vessel is valued at around $155 million. The yacht has been laid up in Dubai since the outbreak of the war in Ukraine. Sources tell me it has a minimum crew on board because all of these Russian yachts, or most of the Russian yachts, are struggling to pay the crew, and they've had a lot of assets seized, so they're unable to move money around very easily. So a lot of them have just laid up these boats until they can get their money back. So interestingly, when I made that video about Madame Goo, which was about, I think it was 2019, I posted the video on YouTube, and then a few days later, I got an email from one of the officers on board Madame Goo, and he said that they all enjoyed watching the video, but the name of the owner that I'd given, Andrei Scotch, was not the real owner, and that I needed to take down or remove the name from that video, like he had some sort of authority to do so. He said he was happy for the video to stay up, but I needed to take down the name. Clearly I didn't do that because I knew who the owner was. And in actual fact, in another visit to Monaco, I was walking past the boat. I actually made a video about Madame Goo, and as I was walking past the boat, Andrew Scotch came down the passerelle with two close security officers and stepped off the boat right in front of me. And he gave me a bit of a funny look, and I didn't film or didn't do anything, and I just walked by, didn't say anything. He had two giant close protection guys with him as well. So yeah, so I know for certain that he's the owner. Well, he's definitely been on board, let's say. Okay, so one thing that came up, that's come up quite a lot recently, because I've been talking about this a lot, is flag states and the flag on the stern of the ship. So I use the phrase flag. It is known in the industry as an ensign, but I call it flag because, a lot of people who watch this channel are not in the industry. And I very often, when I talk about a subject, I will use layman terms so I don't confuse people who are not in that industry or who are not privy to the terminology that we use. It's come up a few times recently that people are saying that it's not a flag, it's an ensign. But like I said, I don't want to confuse people, and if I talk about the ensign, a lot of people will not know what that is. Okay, so just before I go, I just wanted to recommend a video. It's not something I do very often, but this is a video that is about super yachts. It was sent to me recently, and it's by a channel called Ukrainska Pravda, which means Ukrainian True, I believe. And the video is about people from the channel, or some people who go to Turkey, Ukrainians go to Turkey, and they visit all the places that we've been talking about, even in this video, Göcek and Fethiye and Marmaris. And they go to all these places and they show the super yachts in those locations. Now, it's in Ukrainian, but it has English subtitles built into it. So you don't have to turn on the subtitles or anything. It comes up on the screen. They've got some great footage of Eclipse and Titan and Solaris and Flying Fox, a lot of the boats that we talk about on this channel. It's about 30 minutes long, but it's really worth watching. I'll post a link up here and I'll post one in the description. So yeah, definitely check that video out. So we even come up in this video as a cameo, and you can hear my voice at one point in it. But it is really good, definitely worth a watch. All right, I'm going to leave it there. As always, if you want to get in touch with us, you can get us through the About page of the YouTube channel. You can get us on Facebook Messenger and Instagram, and you can also get us on Threema. So if you've got anything you want to send to us, images, videos, etc., please get in touch with us through those channels. Please be sure to like this video, hit the subscribe button, and hit the bell for future notifications. All right, thanks very much for watching, and I'll catch up with you soon. Bye-bye.